Back with another episode, man. 21 Vibe, the podcast. We back with another Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we back with another Wednesday.
Another episode.
Got the gang in the building, man. Got the gang in the building. Rose Ryder, how you feeling, brother?
I'm good, bro. How you
good?
doing? Yes, sir.
For sure. CML.
What's poppin'?
You good, brother?
Yes, sir.
First lady?
What's up?
You good?
I'm good.
You ready?
I am.
I'm ready too. So look, man, check this out. We have a very, very, very special guest on the show with us today. Pastor Thomas Beavers.
What's going on? Glad to
feeling?
be here. Man, I'm good.
Man, we glad to have you.
I'm surprised y'all let me come on, but I'm glad.
I'm
glad.
surprised you're here. I'm
Right,
surprised.
Yeah, surprised you wanted to come. For real.
I'm here, man. You know, disclaimer, man. A lot of times people would think somebody like me would not come on something like this.
Right.
Simply because I am a pastor. The biggest criticism that Jesus received was not from the world, it was from the church.
Right. Definitely.
The church criticized him for hanging around people that God wanted to reach, but the church didn't feel like he should reach.
Definitely.
And you can't reach people if you don't hang around them.
Right.
So
That's real.
y'all have invited me into your space, and I'm grateful. And I'm inviting everybody in the I space.
Right.
Right.
Definitely. Definitely. And got a lot to do with Kobe. But Kobe
Yeah.
love you.
Yeah. Hey, I love Kobe.
Yeah.
That's my
Kobe
boy.
That's
speaks
my dog.
greatly about you.
That's my
for
dog.
Real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For real. For real. So we just go ahead and get straight into it. Everybody ready?
Let's go.
go.
We get straight into it. So we were talking earlier before we started about the current events. And one of the current events that I saw, we had touched on mass shootings in one of our episodes earlier. And I don't know if everybody caught it or not, but like we were saying, I don't know if it was I don't know who in Texas it was. I don't know if it was Governor Merrill or what, but they are implementing a bill that allows employees of schools to basically bear arms in the schools. And I just want to know how y'all feel, or do y'all feel like that's a good answer, a good response to what's been going on? Is that a problem solver or not? How y'all feel about that? What you think?
Honestly, the more I think about it, I think about the cons, but the pros, like, I mean, it's like at this point, why not? Like, as long as they have like some type of proper training, like some safekeeping for the firearm, then I feel like it's not a horrible idea. You
Right.
know, as long as there's like some responsibility like implemented to
Right.
keep everybody safe. I don't see the issue, because it's like we all get to, you know, bear arms anyway. So, and
Right.
with all these school shootings, it's like maybe it'll be of help in some way.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that it like solved the problem, but like maybe if we can stop from 12 children getting injured or killed, you know what I'm saying, to where it's only 1 or 2, you know what I'm saying? Like 1 or 2 still bad, but it's better than 12, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like they can help if the teachers are trained properly on how to use a gun, how to shoot a gun, you know what I'm saying, and how to use it around children, you know what I'm saying? Because you still, teachers, they can shoot just as loosely as the mass shooter, you know what I'm saying? But I do feel like that it can help as far as like, maybe it won't be a death of 15, might be just like a death of 2, you know what I'm saying?
And honestly, I feel like maybe like if like crazy people know that all these teachers in here strapped, like maybe they won't just come in, you know, there'll be a little bit.
It ain't no easy target. no
Yeah,
more.
like everybody got guns now. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
I'm
it might
not
help.
with it at all.
I'm not with it either, bro.
At
Why
all.
not?
I'm just looking at it from a student can get hold to that gun,
That's why I said safekeeping.
but I just look at it like just getting caught in that moment.
Yeah.
You got this gun on you and somebody come in with a gun, like they are teachers. They ain't no soldiers, or they ain't carrying no guns,
Yeah.
or some of them probably know it's not a shotgun gun. It's different to have a gun on you, and when some real action come, is you really gonna use that gun?
Yeah.
You're not going to pull it unless you
exactly.
use
You know what I'm saying? So
it. Otherwise, you don't need to have
you
it.
don't need to have it.
I think on one hand, it can bring comfort, but it don't necessarily solve the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I think what we need to look at is that what leaders do in moderation, everybody else does in excess. So if you have teachers who are carrying guns in moderation, before long, what are the students going to be doing?
Facts.
Yeah, I didn't think about it like that. I guess I look at everything from the kids'
Right.
perspective too, and like we always say, we got one parent on the show. So would you feel comfortable
Nah.
with your child going to a school with a teacher's belt on?
Nah.
Kobe, you the only parent?
Yeah.
You older
I
now.
made two.
Yeah, you
Okay.
made two.
And I got a huge family.
Yeah, you
Okay.
made two. We gonna get into that too. We'll get into
Nah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, nah. Because like Pastor said, like, you might have some students, like, might sneak a gun now.
Yeah.
If they see their teacher with a gun.
But they do that anyway.
That's true.
True.
They sneak guns.
What
in the
about
schools.
bad days for teachers?
Facts.
Bad days.
And then they want to like shoot something.
Bad
I hope
days.
not.
Well, that's the
Goodness
other part that I
Might
think
come
about.
in with a short fuse.
On one hand, the purpose of it, from what they say, is to have a gun in case there's a mass shooting. But you also see on the internet where a lot of teachers get into it with students.
A lot.
I did
So
just
if
see
I
something
get
like
into
that.
it with a student and I have a gun, who is to say that a teacher won't flip and
Right.
become the shooter?
Right.
Right.
That's why something.
That's true.
I don't know. So let's just rewind just a little bit. Now that we have you on the show, how do you feel about the mass shootings? Like, what's your intake on it? What's the problem? What's going on? Is it a fad? Is it a trend? Like, what's going on?
I don't know. I think whatever you see in the natural is a copycat of what's already going on in the spirit realm.
Yeah.
There is a spirit of murder that I think has been released throughout all the world. It's not an old spirit, or it's not a new spirit. It's old. It started with Cain and Abel.
Right.
However, just looking at these mass shootings, it does seem like it is a fad, and it does seem like people are becoming more emboldened and more empowered to get firearms, to go into schools, to go into stores, and to just shoot up people.
Right.
I think it's absolutely crazy. And personally, I feel like the solution is turning to God. I've been telling our church, and I've been telling people, if you look at the past 2 years, a lot of people think we've only been in one pandemic, which is COVID-19. I contend that we've been in 5 different pandemics. We've been in a
what's the
health
5?
pandemic, which is COVID-19,
Okay.
which led to an economic pandemic. Several people lost jobs. That's one side of the economic pandemic. The other side of the economic pandemic is that now there are jobs, but nobody wants to work, because in some cases we've been so stimulated by the government.
Right.
And because we've been so stimulated by the government, the stimulations of the government was never meant for us to live off of forever. It's meant to give us a stimulus and a boost.
Right.
So you got the health pandemic, economic pandemic. Then we had to deal with a race pandemic over the backs of the killings of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and so many other things that we've been witnessing. Then we had a political pandemic. Red side don't like the blue side don't like the red side. And that's actually still going on right now. But
Right.
I contend that these are all greater problems of a deeper pandemic, which is a spiritual pandemic. These are the effects when you leave God. These are the effects when you say, God, we don't want you in our schools. We don't want you in the equation. So God says, have at it. You
Free
don't
fall.
want me, but these are the effects
Right.
of not having me. These are the effects of me not being there.
Right.
Right.
Definitely. Now, something we talk about, and I like what you said, something that we talk about on this show often, we were talking about rappers that's been passing away. Music, all those kind of artists and stuff like that. That's now one of the most dangerous jobs in the world is being a famous rapper.
Yeah.
One thing that you said was that in the spiritual realm, right? And I think when you look at it, if you look at rap, it's almost like when you go back to the Gucci Mans and the Jeezys and the T.I.s, it was trap music, right? And I feel like now we're in a time of like op music, like
Right.
killing type of music, like
Yeah.
drill music, everything about ops. And literally everybody's dying.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like trendy, and it's definitely something that I feel like is just getting pulled out of people. Like this may already be in you, it's just getting pulled out of people through the music sometimes and through social media, like we always talk about. Everything seems a little more glorified. Because me, Pastor, one of the things I say about the mass shootings is, which is hard to do, because you kind of want to make sure that you're showing your condolences to the families and the people that was victims, but at the same time, I feel like some of these people are preying on the coverage that they get for doing these kind of things.
Such as mental health.
And we give everybody a documentary. Everybody get a documentary if you do crazy stuff to the society. So do you feel like social media play a part in any of this stuff too?
I think it does.
Yeah.
I absolutely think it
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
Yeah. But you need the social media tools. Really a gift and a curse.
Everything's a tool, and it's contingent upon how you use it.
Right.
A gun can be a tool, but it's contingent upon whose hands it is.
Right.
Somebody can use it for a positive, somebody can use it for a negative.
Right.
Social media, somebody can use it for a positive, somebody can use it for a negative.
Right. Definitely. Now you spoke on something. We're gonna go straight into it. So you spoke on something when we first started the show that people may not see you coming on the show like this. So what would you say to the people that may say that coming on a show like this is hypocritical for a pastor?
Well, probably they don't know what a hypocrite is.
Okay.
A hypocrite is not somebody. A hypocrite, I tell everybody, a lot of people have the mentality, I don't go to church because I don't want to be around all those hypocrites. A hypocrite is not somebody who goes to church and makes mistakes. A hypocrite is somebody who goes to church acting like they've never made mistakes.
Right.
A lot of people say Christians are the only people who celebrate Halloween 52 Sundays a year because Halloween is a time when you dress up and pretend to be somebody that you're not. And the perception in the world is that we dress up on Sunday and pretend to be somebody that we're not. That's not how God intended for it to be. God intended for us to be able to come as we are. And as we come as we are, naked and unashamed, it's only then that God can really begin to transform you. You can't fix a problem when you never admit that you got a problem in the first place.
Right.
So for people who say it's hypocritical for me to be here, look at the life of Jesus.
Right.
Would you call Jesus a hypocrite? Because Jesus hung around, and I'm not calling anybody here a sinner. Like, we all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. But what I am saying, I'm gonna just quote the scripture. Jesus was notorious for hanging around sinners. He was notorious for hanging around people who were unsaved, unchurched, and unplanted. And it was the religious people who always criticized Jesus for hanging around those people. But you can't reach the people if you're not around the people. And God has not called us to stay inside of the four walls of the building. He's called us to go out. I recognize y'all got an audience that I don't have.
Right.
I want y'all in our church.
Right.
I can't never accomplish that goal if I don't come where y'all are.
Right.
Right.
And I don't want y'all to feel like y'all got to be different, like you got to change, like you got to talk different just because I'm here. Be yourself, and I'm gonna be myself.
Nah, for sure. Definitely. Nah, that's something I want to ask you too, Cole, because I know Cole is a very spiritual person, and we drink, we go out, we kick it, have fun. So what do you feel like the threshold is on like doing those things and still being like a man of God or a person of God? Like, is that okay?
Okay, so me personally?
Yeah.
Okay, so when it comes to drinking, when you look at what the Bible says about drinking is not a sin.
I didn't remember it.
Getting drunk is the sin.
Okay, all right, gotcha.
Okay, drinking is not a sin. Getting drunk is a sin. Now, I personally don't drink.
All right.
I don't drink for a couple of reasons. Number one, when I was 12 years old, my stepfather had a distillery downstairs in the basement. Curiosity kills the cat. So at 12 years old, I went inside of the basement and I got a bottle of rum and I just turned it up. At 12 years old, I started taking shot after shot, and I had diarrhea and heartburn so bad it made me never ever want to drink again. So for that reason, I don't drink. But also, as a pastor, I don't drink because, again, what we do in moderation, people do in excess.
Right.
I don't drink not because drinking is a sin. It's not a sin. Getting drunk is the sin.
Right.
I don't drink because somebody may have the mentality, man, pastor got a glass in his hand. Let's turn up.
Right.
If you understand what I'm saying. And that's not the message that I necessarily want to send. But I don't fault anybody who drinks. Just be responsible.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely. So how do you, Kobe, deal with people that may call you a hypocrite? You post your sermons and you post your Sunday schools and all that on your Instagram, and you go hard with that. So how you feel about that? Like, what's your take on
Just
that?
like what Pastor said, like my life real. Like
Yeah.
I party, but you gonna see me up on Sundays in the morning.
Yeah.
Whatever he's saying, I'm putting on the screen.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm telling, like I always tell people all the time, like, and I learned it from him, like it's doing a lot of it is a sin. Like he said, getting drunk, that's a sin.
Right.
They drank wine in the Bible.
Yeah. And Jesus did turn water into wine.
So
And it was real wine.
It was real wine.
So
yeah.
it's just like I don't look at that. I really don't pay too much attention to it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't pay too much attention to it.
Definitely. First lady, let me ask you a question.
Mhm.
What do you feel is the true order of the household?
Like husband, wife, kid.
Yeah, what's the true order of the household?
Okay, God first. I don't know, cause
I know I just put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
right, cause you gotta pick. I gotta pick between like husband and wife.
Is your true order of the household? You want me to come back to you?
Yeah, come back to me. Let me think about it.
Roy, what you got? What's your true order of the household?
The true order of the household. I do feel like that the man leads the household. You know what I'm saying? But I also feel like that his partner, his wife, opinion is very valid
Yeah.
as well. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that as far as the household, I feel like that the man's job is to provide, keep the house safe. You know what I'm saying? Keep the house safe, provide, lead the family. You know what I'm saying? In order like that. And I feel like that the woman, she's really like his backbone of the household. You know what I'm saying?
It's so hard,
Yeah,
like doing that. Like, but if you are a man that is worthy, you know,
Yeah.
then God first, husband, wife, children.
Okay.
Okay.
What you think, Cole?
Like so,
Yeah,
God, husband, wife, children.
I'll let
What's
y'all
the true
have it.
order of the household?
So from a biblical perspective, it's a scripture in Ephesians chapter number 5. It says, husbands, love your wives as Christ has loved the church. And then it talks about how the husband is the head of the wife. A lot of times men say, I'm the head, but we don't necessarily know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think about it from a humanistic perspective, everybody has a head on their body. You can't survive without a head. Inside of your head is your brain. Your brain, from a standpoint, is the control center of your entire body. However, although your brain is sending signals to your body, when your brain is in its right mind, it never tells your body to do something because I'm the brain.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And a lot of men say, well, I'm the head of the household. Do this because I'm the head of the household. The brain only tells the body and directs the body to do certain things that's for the good of the entire body.
Right.
So being the head of a household means that I am to lead my family closer to God. I have a vertical relationship with God that horizontally affects my house and everybody that I live around. And when I give, how can I say it? When I give to my family what God has given to me, I never tell them, well, we need to go in this direction because I'm the head.
Because I said so.
Because I said so, you do what I say. No, I'm telling you we need to go in this direction because this is what God designs for our family and this is what's best for our family overall. And this is how my wife is going to benefit from it. This is how my kids are going to benefit from it. I can't be the only one who benefits when we're making household decisions.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so how do you display that if you're dealing with an alpha woman?
If you're dealing with an alpha woman.
Somebody that may make more money than the man. Does that make a difference?
No, when you put the money together, I mean, when you get married, you're supposed to become one.
Right.
But you got to be a really, really secure man to be able to be with a woman who makes more money than you.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that changes your position. It doesn't mean that you're not the head, but you got to be really, really secure. As a consequence, when you become one, you can make more money than me. But guess what? When we put it together, there's no longer my money and your money. It spends the same.
Right.
And it takes care of the household.
Definitely.
And also, I feel like, as a man or as a woman, just because you make more money than your spouse, you can't use that as a control mechanism. That
Gotcha.
because I make more money, I'm going to control you and control everything that goes on inside of this house. God doesn't intend for it to be that way.
Definitely.
There ought to be mutual respect in the house.
Right. Now let's take that a step further because one of the other big topics that we had on the show was stay-at-home dads.
Yeah,
How you feel about stay-at-home dads?
I think it's dope. However, I think every man should be a provider. But the way the world is now, you can be a stay-at-home dad and still provide for your family.
Right.
I think the pandemic taught all of us that, which is another reason why people don't want to go back to work. Because
Right.
after you've had a taste of freedom and having your time,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want anybody else to control my time.
That's true.
Somewhat in a sense, I'm a stay-at-home dad. So I have 8 children. I have 3 grandchildren.
Wow.
A lot of people probably don't know this, and a lot of people probably won't believe it if I told them. But by being a pastor sometimes is like being a fireman. So sometimes it's a whole lot to do. Sometimes it's not much to do, but I control my own time. And because I have the freedom to control my own time and nobody else controls my own time, I'm able to hang out with my girls. I'm able to hang out with my babies. I'm able to take my kids to school. I'm able to be at functions. I'm able to do things that perhaps in some areas my wife may not be able to do because my wife is out working. Okay. Right. Where she's busy, I have free time. I set my own schedule, and I think it's dope. It allows me to be present in the home and give my kids something that I never received.
I think that's more bossed up than staying home dad.
Yeah, you just have the luxury of
that's
time.
more bossed up. That ain't really staying home dad. That's bossed up.
All right, so if you talk about if you talk about stay at home in the sense of not working,
that's what I'm talking about.
That ain't cool at all.
Okay.
Yeah, that ain't cool at all.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So is cooking and cleaning and taking care of the kids and stuff like that, is that enough to consider work, like working?
That's a job.
That's a job?
Yeah.
That's a job. Think about it. Even from a male perspective, if you have a woman who cooks, if you have a woman who cleans, just think about my house. When you think about 8 kids,
that's a lot.
That's a bunch of clothes to wash.
That's a lot.
That's a bunch of food to cook. Mm-hmm. If I didn't have a wife who was able to do it, and by the way, some of the stuff I don't do because I don't know how, but if I knew how to do it, I would do it. Now I'm learning how to wash clothes and things of that nature, but like I can't cook it. I can't cook it. Man, when I cook something, I know I couldn't cook the day my kids said, "Daddy, I'm hungry." I said, "Okay, I'm gonna cook y'all something to eat." They said, "That's all right, we ain't hungry no more."
They give me a bowl of cereal, Daddy.
Or can they probably make their own sandwiches?
They can make a sandwich, but if you think about it, if I had to pay somebody to come do that, that's a lot of money in a year that I would be dishing out for washing clothes, for cooking. Like that's a real job.
Right. Definitely.
That's a job, bro.
Nah,
so if you got a woman who do it hands down, God bless her, honor her, love her, take care of her.
Definitely. I'm with it. So we talk about social media a lot. And I asked y'all this question before we give Pastor opinion on it. I'll just ask you this, Rod. I'm gonna ask Rod first. Where do you feel, because we kind of talked about this last behind the scenes, where do you feel like the church is now as far as how they present church, social media wise, YouTube, versus being at church? Like where do you feel like church is now? Better or worse?
Better or worse? I say for the better, you know what I'm saying? Because now they have like more avenues to get the message out, you know what I'm saying? Because now you can watch church online, or you can go to the actual church, you know what I'm saying? You can watch it on your phone, you can watch it on TV, you know what I'm saying? So I do feel like that's for the better. The only question that I would have about it is the message getting received the same if I'm watching it online versus like me being at the actual church.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's really a question that I have for Pastor.
Right.
Really, like, do you feel like that with this generation, with us being like more so like online church now, do you feel like that your message is getting received the same as the people that's inside the church listening to you?
Do I feel like it's getting received the same? On some levels, I do. From the standpoint of we live in a digital world, we live in a digital age, and just face it, either you can fight it or you can adapt. If you don't adapt, you're going to die.
Right.
And so now I feel like we're in the age of what some people call the hybrid church, where you got a core group of people who still want to be inside of the building, but then you also have a core group of people who are watching online. The goal is to get the message out. Prior to the pandemic, we were doing 3 services on Sunday, 8 a.m., 9:30 a.m., 12 noon. And then the pandemic hit and everything shut down. And now, post-pandemic, if there is a such thing, we're doing 1 service. One thing that I found out as a pastor is I don't miss doing those 3 services. Now, if we have to add services, we will. But like, I love doing it then. But like now, being able to go to church and being able to go to breakfast after church with my family, like that's valuable to me. I didn't realize how much time I was missing with my family. But being in the digital world, we've shifted everything digital. People can join online. After the message, people text decision to 94253. So according to the numbers and the data that we're getting back, people are receiving the message because people are joining the church without ever entering inside of the building. On the flip side, what I would say is this: we need to be in fellowship and community with each other, because part of our spiritual growth is not just listening to the word of God. You can get that online, but you also need to be able to rub elbows with other like-minded Christian brothers and sisters who think the same way, because no man is an island.
Right.
So I can have an intention to go in the right direction, but if I don't have a community around me to help me and hold me accountable to go in that direction, I'm missing something.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's real.
What you think, First Lady?
I was thinking the same thing, like what he thought about, like the word that I think I used last week was like the gimmicks that a lot of these, new like pastors, are doing, the ones that, reach a lot of people via social media.
Right.
So my question is, how do you feel about the gimmicks basically that a lot of pastors are, this whole social media stuff?
Yeah, so this is a very interesting conversation, because a lot of times as a pastor, our mind is, what can we do to reach people? What can we do to reach people? Whatever it takes to reach people. But you're enlightening us as pastors on something. When people look at the church, they don't come to church to see the same thing in the world.
Right. Definitely.
So a lot of times when people come to the church, what drives them out of the church is that the same thing they see in the streets is the same thing they see in the seats. And so I don't think that we are to be gimmicky. I think that we are to be relevant.
Yes, I agree.
I think that we are to present the message of Christ in a way that's compelling, in a way that's relevant, in a way that keeps up with the times. It's the same message, but the methods may be different. But at the same time, I'm not with the gimmicks either.
Okay.
And hearing you say that, I think helps us as pastors.
Okay. Good.
Because I was gonna speak on it, like with the whole situation with the pastor spitting on what's his name? His brother. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't use something. You couldn't did something else to explain your message. And I say this a lot because I was telling them like how you take like current events and put in a sermon, and it's still on the same line as getting the word out there.
Right.
Yeah. That's one thing I had when I first started going to church about. I'm like, man, nigga talking about Kobe Bryant scoring this many points and put in the sermon and reach the people.
Right.
Young and old.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and again, what we do out here, I'm gonna give you your flowers out. Like growing up in the church, how you do, I tell them like all the time how you do feed the 12 o'clock on Wednesday, you get lunches out. You build houses for the church. I don't know how recent it was when you paid everybody a bill.
Yeah.
Like that's the Old Testament. That's what they talk about in the Bible.
Yeah.
A lot of pastors don't do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's more Hollywood now, and I can't get with it. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I can't get with it. Yeah. So I'm just giving you a flower while you're here, pastor. You deserve them.
Man.
I tell people all the time, you're one of the best pastors I know.
Yeah,
I love you, bro.
Love you too, pal.
Yeah. Glory, man. Thank you.
So we give you a flower while you're on here. I talk about it all the time. And like I said, it's just like, just seeing it growing up, when I went to church, my old school pastor, I'm looking like, this how he preach. All that putting boats and stuff on the stage and they be doing it. Like, come on, man. You gotta do all that, man.
You ain't gotta do all that.
I do want to say something about that too. I want to say something about that too, because kind of to what Kobe was saying, like, let's go back to the spitting incident, right? And just like what you were saying, Pastor, like some things, okay, so you're trying to capture a different audience and you're thinking that it's almost like it's scary, because I don't know if it's possible to maintain it on the social media because of what you have to do to stay relevant.
Right.
So it's almost like, okay, you're really disconnecting to people from the hood spitting on somebody. Ain't nobody from the hood going for that.
Yeah.
Nobody.
That's one of the most
You lose
disrespectful things
everybody
you can
that
do.
you think you trying to get. by doing that. That's the one thing that nobody's going for.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you can even relay that back to what he was trying to do.
How you must put that in a sermon
But
to make somebody understand.
You're not finna spit on him. No. Immediately turn the TV. Can't listen to that because I can't relate to that. And I feel like there's a lot of people that probably would feel like that. And the one scary thing for me about the social media thing, and you let me know if I'm wrong or not, is like I was saying, once you get to social media, it turns into not so much, okay, I'm a pastor, now I'm a creator. Yeah. Almost like an influencer. You know what I'm saying? So now I have to build followers. So I'm doing things to help me build followers versus the message. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of gets distorted trying to get to the message through your Instagram posts and through your, all like Neil was saying, through your gimmicks.
It's all about motives. I don't think it's sustainable if your motives are wrong.
Right.
I think that's a great point that you brought out, because going back to the gimmicks, like if I do this gimmick this week and it's lit, I'm automatically thinking, okay,
you got to top it.
I got to top it. Like what I got to do next week. And before long, you run out of gimmicks. And before long, it's not about reaching the people. It's not about preaching the message. It's like, what do I do to grab people's attention?
Shock value. Like,
there you go, shock value.
Oh
but actually, what do people take away from it? So no, I don't think that a gimmick is necessarily sustainable. However, at the same time, I understand that different things reach different people. Every pastor is not for everybody. And when we as pastors do make mistakes, I think it's imperative that we go back and apologize to the people. So we talking about the pastor who spit. I would not have spit on anybody. I think the beautiful thing about that situation is that he came back and apologized. He recognized when he went back and looked at it, like, I should not have done that. And you absolutely right. Like if you spit on me, he was communicating when Jesus healed a blind man. Jesus actually spit on the blind man. But sometimes we can go overboard in an attempt to reach people.
Right.
And we just need to be just, hey, here go the word. This what it is.
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely. Now I'm gonna get into some stuff. Kobe had brought us some stuff earlier. Let's get into some discrepancies about the Bible. Yeah. Right. Into society's time.
Let's go.
First, I start with something light.
I'm here for it. I got time.
I don't know where in the Bible there's a pastor's anniversary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
Okay. So what's interesting, did you just watch the clip of the Hebrew Israelite?
I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
Wow. You saw it. And so maybe a couple of days ago, is a pastor here in Birmingham, and there were some Hebrew Israelites who were outside of his church. Oh. And they railed on that pastor pretty much for the pastors because of the pastor's anniversary. So a pastor's anniversary is one of the ways that a church can honor their pastor. Every church doesn't do it, but it's one of the ways that a church can honor their pastor. A pastoral anniversary is not in the Bible, which is a method, but honoring your pastor is in the Bible.
Right.
If you understand what I'm saying. And so you have the method, but then you actually have what it is that you're doing. And this is the method to accomplish that. It's not the only method to accomplish that, but it is a method to accomplish that. So when you think about the purpose of a pastor, so I teach our church this every single year. Your pastor has a responsibility to you, and you have a responsibility to your pastor. So there's a passage in Ephesians that talks about when Jesus ascended up on high, it says he led captivity captive, gave gifts unto men. Then it lists what those gifts are. It says he gave some to be apostles, some to be prophets, some to be evangelists, some to be pastors and teachers. These are like the gifts. Some people call it the fivefold ministry. Definitely. And this is why he gives you a pastor. For the equipping of the saints. He gives you a pastor to equip you, to do ministry, to build up the body of Christ. That's why he gives you a pastor, to equip the people, to do ministry, which is serve people. That's what ministry is. It's a $2 word for serving people. To equip people to serve others, to build up the body of Christ. There's another passage in the Old Testament, Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 15. It says, I will give you pastors after my own heart. How do you know that your pastor has the heart of God? Your pastor has the heart of God when your pastor is not pushing his agenda, but he's pushing God's agenda.
Right.
If you understand what I'm saying. And how do you know they're pushing God's agenda? It says your pastor will feed you with knowledge. There's a verse in the Bible that says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. So it's literally the word that comes from the mouth of your pastor, if it is the word, that keeps you from being destroyed. And it also says your pastor will feed you with understanding. That's your pastor's responsibility to you. Number one, to equip you to do ministry, to build up the body of Christ. Number two, to feed you with knowledge, to feed you with understanding. That is your pastor's responsibility to you. Turn around, you have a responsibility to your pastor. All right, number one, your responsibility to your pastor is to pray for your pastor. Your pastor is a human being. People take for granted that pastors are people. Like your pastor perhaps has a wife. Your pastor perhaps has children. The same problems that people go through, not only do pastors counsel them through those problems, they go through the same problems themselves.
Right. Yeah.
So like, it's not just the people who need God. Like as a pastor, like, man, I need God.
Right.
I need just as much grace as anybody else. Your pastor falls short. Your pastor sins. So like, number one, responsibility to your pastor, pray for your pastor. Number two, responsibility to your pastor is honor your pastor. All right. So here's the whole pastor's anniversary thing. There's a scripture in 1 Timothy 5:17 that says the elders who rule well. Now, when the Bible uses the term elder in the New Testament, it's not talking about an old person. It's interchangeable with the word pastor. The pastors who rule well should be counted worthy of double honor. Number one, how do you know that your pastor is not a jackleg and they actually ruling well?
That's gonna be my next question.
I just gave it to you.
Okay.
Those who rule well, is your pastor equipping you?
Right, definitely.
To serve,
right,
to build up people. If your pastor's doing that, they ruling well. Are they feeding you with knowledge? Do you know more about that book when you leave than you knew when you came into the church?
Right.
Are they feeding you with understanding? Do you understand the words that are coming out of their mouth? Okay. If they're doing that, they ruling well. Yeah. Okay. So it says the elders, the pastors who rule well should be counted worthy of double honor. That word honor is not just a term of respect. It's a term of numeration, which is where we get our English word honorarium.
Gotcha.
If you understand what I'm saying. So the root word of honorarium is honor, but honorarium is a term of numeration. So when it says they ought to be counted worthy of double honor, literally the New Living Translation says that the pastor who rules well should be paid well. A lot of people think that just because you're a pastor, you have to be poor. But there's a way to have and not necessarily be gaudy and flaunt it in front of everybody as well.
Yeah. Slow down, pal, because I told you my topics. Hold on, you going in my topics. Hold on.
I told you I got time today. I'm here for it. So the pastor's anniversary is a method to get there.
Definitely.
Not the only method, but it's a method.
Now, it's something that you said in there that I watched something on Netflix. It's a new documentary on Netflix.
I heard about it. I gotta see.
It's called Keep Sweet, Pray, and Obey.
Okay.
Now, my question is, because you said that you have to basically that your pastor is from God, basically, right? These people in this, it's like it was a cult thing, and my question is like, how do you know? I mean, of course you know, but like what? I'm just speaking for the people that I grew up with and things like that. Like, where do all the other stuff come from?
All right, so I'm gonna give you the biblical version and I'm gonna give you the street version.
Okay.
In the Bible, it says, "Try the spirit by the spirit." In the streets, game recognize game. You know when somebody ain't real.
Right.
You know when your gut, the Holy Spirit inside of you, is telling you something about this ain't right. Like, you know it.
Yeah. I'm with you.
I agree.
I'm with you. Right. Now, we had talked about last week too. We had also brought up like you were saying, some of the lucrative things that we're able to see via social media from these pastors now too.
Yeah.
So
I'm here for it. I got time today.
My question is, do you feel like it's harder, or do you feel like it's more challenging the more successful financially a pastor gets to still reach the congregation? And almost like, all right, let's go back to the Joel Osteen thing, right? when people say they found all the money in the wall at the church. I feel like immediately that was like
happened?
Well, something happened when they said they found like $500,000 in the wall.
I think, in the
something
wall.
like that.
Yeah.
Cash.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not. And then what's crazy is like we know he has money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But when people heard that, I feel like that was kind of to society like a red flag. Versus what you're saying, and the Bible it say you're supposed to, you know, reap the fruits of the labor, all that type of stuff. So what's the threshold between, you know?
So
That's a
concerning
stigma too, though.
Yeah, it is a stigma, and the stigma can be distracting. And so, even though I have, and by the way, not everybody in this calling, let me just say this, I'm not rich. I'm not.
You ain't got, don't do.
All right.
Come on now.
But not everybody in this calling is able to make a living in this calling. There are bivocational pastors.
Right.
So people who work 9 to 5s and who pastor. I'm fortunate enough where I'm able to do this full time, which is not only a blessing to me, I believe it's a blessing to the people. Because if I had to have a 9 to 5 job, think about it like this, and somebody else control my time, then on Sunday, rather than you getting the word, you be getting a popcorn message. Something I just threw together.
I'm tired.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm tired, you know, because
You don't
somebody
have
else
much time to
controlling my
study and
time.
all that, yeah.
But by me being able to be in control of my time, I'm able to devote my time to prayer, to study of the word for the purpose of really feeding the people. Concerning the situation you just brought up, finding $500,000 cash in the church. First and foremost, we don't know if that cash belonged to the church.
Okay.
We don't know if it belonged to the pastor. And so that we don't necessarily know. If it belonged to the church, there may be an element in the church that says, well, I don't trust the bank with all my money.
Right. You're right.
And
It
in the
could've been that.
streets,
It could have been that.
people don't trust the bank with
You're
all
right,
their money.
you're
They
right.
bury money in the
I
ground.
give you that. I give you that. I give you that.
If you understand what I'm
I
saying,
give you that.
if it did belong to the pastor, what I would say is it is dangerous if somebody knows that you keep that much cash on you, because people don't care anything about you being a pastor. They still will rob you. I think the Bible talks about living a modest life. I don't want to do anything that brings too much attention to me, if you understand what I'm
Right.
saying, because once you start looking at me, you ain't looking at Jesus.
Right.
Right.
Definitely. Now, fun fact. I'm a preacher's child.
That's
myself.
dope.
Yeah, I'm a preacher's child myself. Do you worry about that stigma as well? Preacher's kids
As far as my kids,
straying off, or you know how they talk about preacher's kids be the worst
preachers'
ones.
kids are kids.
Yeah.
Preachers' kids are not the worst ones. The light is just on them.
Gotcha.
They do what everybody else do.
Gotcha.
Facts.
The light is just on them.
That's real. That's real.
That's my thoughts about it.
That's facts, though.
Yeah, that's my thoughts. I mean, they go to school, man. They face the same peer pressures as everybody else.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're holding the children to the same standard they hold the
The
pastor
pastor
to.
too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I feel that too. Now let's change gears for a minute. I'm gonna ask first lady first. Only later on the show right now. What do you think it would take? We're gonna go relationships real quick. What do you think it would take for a man to settle down in a relationship? Like what does he have to feel from a woman or from himself to settle down in a relationship, or to be ready to settle down in a relationship?
I mean, I can't tell you what a man feels.
Well, what would you want a man to feel, or what do you think?
I can't tell you what a man should feel. Like, you know, that's a conversation that has to be had within yourself. Like, what does it, like, how do you, when are you comfortable, like, as a person? When do you feel whole, like, to where you can commit yourself to a woman? I don't know.
I shouldn't ask that. Let's just ask women, because women outside too. So when is a woman ready to settle down?
I mean, when you know that you have everything within you to be that person for another person.
Right.
When you feel like the person is whole enough to be, you know, the person that you need them to be.
Right.
So yeah, I feel like short answer, like you just both have to kind of be ready, like in your own way, like whatever that is for you. And for me, I feel like, you know, I have to be in a space where I feel whole enough to be that to somebody else.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What you think,
You
Kobe?
know my question. You know my answer.
What's your answer?
I tell you all the time. It's God timing.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's just not only God timing, financially, spiritually, emotionally, baby protector, provide all that. But
But are you as a person who maybe wants to, you know, have a family, be a husband, what are you doing to, I guess, be that? Like,
I'm like working
rather than
towards that,
just-
like in all aspects, financially, physically, emotionally, providing all that.
So what's the end all? That's
God's time. When
with
when
men.
God put on my mind, hey Kobe, it's
With
time.
men, I feel like men use that kind of like as a cop out a lot. Like they be like, I got to get to this
No, ain't much that, but
point.
it's just
And all these things that you just named, I got to get to these points. Like, what are you doing to get to that point? Like, and what are you going to, like, how will you know other than you saying like, oh, it's God's time? Of course you saying God gonna come down, you know, come to you and tell you like, Jacoby, you ready?
and
Talking about last week. Faith without works is dead. So what are you doing?
Yes, sir. He was preaching on here last week. Faith without work is dead. Faith without work is dead.
And
That's what you
I
said.
believe.
That's what
You
you
can't
said.
just leave it up to God.
But I'm doing the work though. I'm putting the work in.
You are.
You putting the
I'm
work
putting the
in.
work in. Yeah.
Rod, what you think,
Definitely
Rod?
putting the work in.
Just like Kobe was saying, like I feel like as a man, you gotta be whole, like within. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to be financially stable first. You wanna you wanna feel like that, like I'm done with that life. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to deal with 10 chicks every day no more. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's gonna be a feeling within to where like you feel like I'm ready to take that next leap with that person.
Is that fair to the women?
Because low-key,
I won't say
he
it's fair,
financially
but
stable.
it's just both of y'all gotta be on the same page.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She gotta be getting her ducks in a row just like you getting yours in a row. Both of y'all gotta be on the same page.
Yeah. I think one of the scariest things too is like being ready for somebody that's not ready.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's a fear that everybody kind of live with. Is
Right.
Being ready for somebody that's not ready.
Right.
You
That's
know
why
what
I
I'm saying?
said I'm gonna make sure I'm whole, but I'm also make sure that they're whole and they are capable of being what you need to be in a relationship with somebody else.
Right.
If I feel like you're not and I know that I am, then it's like, okay, now we're not compatible. So, you know, you go do what you need to do.
Yeah.
I'll probably be somewhere else, but you know.
Yeah.
But having the courage to do that and not being afraid to let somebody go is what a lot of women don't have.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think is what is needed.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you see that we're not on the same thing, but I'm just holding on, and I'm there, but you're not, then having the courage to be able to say, hey, go, and just know that I'm good, and not being afraid to be by myself for a minute until God sends somebody else. It's beautiful to hear you say that.
That's important because you'll give men the option to just kind of like dangle their feet.
Pastor said we need grace.
Drag their feet, I should say.
How you feel about
Absolutely.
How you feel about that answer? I mean that question.
We need
pal.
grace.
All right, so what I think about it is this. It's one thing to say, God's timing, I'm working towards it. I think God's timing plays a part. There's a responsibility that we have to work towards it. But you can't necessarily say that and be living with the person, because if you already living like you married, but then saying God's timing and working towards it. And by the way, I'm not saying that's the context you used it in, but if you're already living with the person and saying, well, God's time and working towards it, like you already living that life. So to say that I'm not ready, or to say I'm not financially ready, well, you already live.
I agree, Pastor B.
What do you mean? When I get financially ready, but y'all living together, like what more? Y'all already carrying bills together. You already figuring it out. So I think that's from the standpoint of wanting benefits, but not really wanting to be committed.
Yeah.
If you work for somebody, you get benefits on your job. They make you wait 90 days to see if you committed.
Okay, so let's get into this then. Let's get into something else.
He had to change the subject really
Yeah,
quick.
yeah.
I ain't coming down on nobody, man.
Not Not y'all.
That's Neil being messy.
You know how I feel about that. You know how I feel about that. So you know I'm gonna come for you a little bit, because I feel like men be not just you men use those things like as a cop out. So I just like to be on y'all's butts because I'm y'all's friend and I'm a woman and I want y'all to know like that's not acceptable. Like I'm gonna tell you about yourself a little bit. So
how do you so what do you think makes men feel the because I feel like all three of us basically said or feel the same way to a certain extent about being ready. Because some people like me, I tell folks all the time, if I ever get put in a situation where a dilemma is brought to me, my response is always, I think so highly of you that I want to be ready all the way.
Right.
I don't want to struggle with you. I don't want to tell you no. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that.
And what I would say to somebody who has that viewpoint, are you ever really ready?
Thank you. That's it.
Because when you get married and you marry somebody who's beautiful and you think she's the most beautiful person in the world, and she is the most beautiful person in the world because you picked her, you married her, but she's not the only beautiful woman that God made on earth. When you get married, you're going to see other women who are beautiful. Right. When you get married, you're going to have kids. And when you have kids, her body is going to stretch out. Is she still beautiful then? If you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And so if we don't have the discipline to be committed before we get there, you're not going to have the discipline to be committed once you do get there. I do feel like as Black men, one of the things that we face, and this is not every Black man, but one of the things that we face is fatherlessness. So when we don't see our fathers in a committed relationship through the good, the bad, the ugly, the right, the wrong, the ups and the downs with our mothers and through a union in marriage, a lot of times as men, we're trying to live a picture that we've never seen before.
Right.
So I think that's a hindrance. But then I also think the other hindrance is that sometimes the woman may not put enough of a demand on her own value. And I say that like this. Okay, I met my wife in college. She was in graduate school. I was in undergrad. And there came a point in the time where we were just dating. And I always had the mentality, well, we just dating. We just friends.
Right, yeah.
We just friends. Yeah. We just friends. We just friends. But man, we going out every night. Oh, we just friends. We having fun every single night. We just friends, get home, get back from the road playing basketball. She be the first person I go see. We just friends. Where at some point in time, she said, okay, I understand we just friends. This is not an ultimatum, by no means. But I value who I am. I'm not going to be somebody's friend that long and you not call it what it is.
Yeah.
And so either you can start calling it what it is, and I'm not dating just to date, and we can start moving towards this, or I really do love you. I love you and that don't change, but this is not working, and I also love you enough to let you go. And this is not an ultimatum. This is not a threat. This is just what it is. And at that point, when she put a demand on her own value, not a demand on me, they got a way of saying it. It'd be so slick. It ain't a threat, but it's a threat.
Yeah, it ain't a threat, but it's a threat.
It ain't an ultimatum, but it's an ultimatum.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was very respectful. Hey, I love you, but hey, we can go separate ways. And I believe that you'll be fine. I'll be fine. But I'm not going to keep going down this path if you don't have a vision. Because how do you expect for me to follow you if you don't have a vision of where this is going?
Right. Definitely. So, polygamy. And how you say it?
Yeah.
And how you say it?
Polygamy.
Polygamy.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
All right. Solomon had 700 wives, 300 concubines.
I'm sorry. That's who Solomon, if I was a person in the Bible, I like Solomon. That's my character.
Okay.
That's me. I like Solomon. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. So Solomon, son of David, third king of Israel, was considered to be the wisest man to have ever walked the earth.
Yes, sir.
With the exception of Jesus, who is wisdom. He was wealthy. As king, he had position, power, and prestige. Anything that a human being could ever want, Solomon had it. but he also had flaws. And one of his flaws was women.
Yeah.
Not the women in and of itself, but his innate desire for polygamy. 700 wives, 300 concubines. He started well as king, but towards the end of his life, he did not finish well because he married foreign women who turned his heart away from God. There's no way for your heart to be centered and you giving pieces of your heart to all these different women.
Well, 700. But like, what about 2? What about 3?
Yeah.
Hey, I want my heart centered with God.
I know that's right.
Just me personally, you know, who's the real player? Dr. Ari Vernon said it this way. Who's the real player? Who's the real player? The one man who got 30 different women, or the one man who can make one woman happy for 30 different years?
That's tough. That's
Come
tough.
on now. The one that can make one woman happy for 30 years.
That's the real player.
I guess. All right. So what I'm asking is it wrong?
Oh yeah, it's wrong.
It's wrong.
Yeah, it's wrong.
You done gave us a lot of scriptures. Give me one on that. You gotta prove that, pal.
Yeah.
I need to know. You gotta prove that.
Yeah, so in the Old Testament, there were men.
I gotta prove it.
There was a culture in the Old Testament where it was socially acceptable, culturally acceptable for one man to have as many wives as he could take care of,
As he can afford, like my boy. Yeah.
as he could afford. However, in the New Testament, when Jesus came, Jesus says that the marriage relationship, so just read Ephesians 5, verses 22 through 33. That's the scripture I'm going to give you. But he says that the marriage relationship is a depiction between Christ and his church. Christ doesn't have more than one bride. He only has one bride.
Right.
And so if marriage is supposed to be a depiction between Christ and his church and he only has one, who am I to have 2? Who am I to have 3? Who am I to have 4?
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
Also, when you say like
Your
that's
boy
who,
said, I'm Solomon.
that's who,
But
that's who
I got 700 on.
Yeah, I would be silent for real.
when we talk about it, I feel like here on the show, if you have a woman who was gonna agree to, you having multiple women, cool, but you can't have her in the dark. That is her and 4 other women.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you can keep it real and be like, hey, it's you, her, and her, and this is who I have. If she's okay with that, whatever, like that, that's her.
Is that still wrong or
I
right? Is she
would-
okay with it?
Nah,
Technically, he can't.
it's not God's way.
Yeah, it's not God's way. But I'm
Somebody can be okay with it, but it's still not God's way.
right. So I'm saying, like, what I'm saying, realistically, you probably ain't gonna have a woman.
Solomon.
I went saying Solomon for the girls though. He really put me on something. Then you really went deeper than what I knew about Solomon with the 700 wives. I really wasn't talking about that. I really wasn't talking. I just want to make that clear.
You weren't talking about like having multiple wives?
No.
Oh, okay. So
See,
why
cause
you
what
listening?
I know about Solomon was him being a young king.
Okay.
What like look?
He had it
Yeah,
going
wives
on.
and
No. Because
concubines.
one of the things that I did, so like I said, preacher child, and my dad put me on Solomon, and one thing that drew me to that was basically like not being privileged. I might be misquoting it or whatever, but I know when it was his turn to become king, I felt like what I remember was that he didn't ask to be rich because he was already going to inherit that, or he already had that. But he asked God, just make me the wisest person in the world. Or just make me wise.
He did.
And then God blessed him and said, since you didn't ask me for material
I'ma
stuff,
give you all
I'm going to
this.
make you the wisest man in the whole world.
Right.
I appreciate that. And I feel like in business now, like with my business partner now, I never came to him asking for money. I never came to him asking for this and for that. Bro, just teach me.
That's smart.
You know what I'm saying?
Because
Just
the
teach
most
me. And
valuable
from
thing
that,
you can have.
I've got
is
blessings
knowledge.
from that.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
the
That's
most
why I
valuable
say
thing you
outside.
can have is knowledge. Along those lines, you're exactly right. That's in 1 Kings chapter number 3. Like he didn't ask.
I know that.
He didn't ask for money. But here's the other thing that amazes me about it: his age.
He was young. Yeah, that's what I'm
He
saying.
was young.
He was young.
But although he was young, he was smart enough to ask God for wisdom.
Yeah.
If I was that young, at a young age,
That's what I'm
tender
saying, bro.
age,
That's what
and
I'm
God
saying.
came to me with a blank check and says, "Hey, whatever you want, I'll give it to you."
Yeah.
You know, I be asking for 67 Cutlass Supreme, sitting on Peter Paul's bow leg down with a bowling ball interior, 24-inch rims that keep spinning when the car stops.
Nah, for real.
But at a young age, he didn't ask for none of that.
Right.
He asked for wisdom.
Right.
So for you to have that wisdom at a young age to say, hey, just teach me,
Right.
I think that's admirable.
Definitely.
For sure.
Definitely. Now, I saw something on your Instagram. I went to your Instagram.
Yeah.
And I just got to know, because the 30K gas, give the gas thing y'all did.
Yeah.
How we get some gas? We can get some gas? We can get some gas? Well, like, what was that? We can get some gas? How that work?
So, I mean, everybody know that gas prices at an all-time high.
Yeah.
And so our church came together, and it was another church who chipped in, but we gave $31,000 of gas across 3 different cities. So we had one church, 3 locations. So Birmingham, Pale City, Sylacauga. And so we gave away $15,000 of gas in Birmingham, $7,500 in Pale City, $7,500 in Sylacauga.
That's dope.
And we just try to be a blessing to the community.
That's dope.
That's dope.
Yes.
And I think that's what people like you were saying, bro. Like the stuff like that is what people missing
Yeah.
when you get to the social media part too.
Right.
Because it almost feel like you're just pulling from me.
Yeah.
It's hard to touch you now because you're so famous.
Right.
Or it's like it's hard to get to you because you're so famous almost. So it's almost like a disconnect, even if it's unintentional.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's definitely like commendable though. I really
Man, I appreciate
that's something
it, man.
that
I
stood
commend
out
our
more
church
than
for doing
anything.
that. Like our church, man, we give so much and we never lack.
Right, definitely.
We never lack. Like it always comes back. We love our community. I always ask this question: if your building burns down, would the community miss you?
Definitely.
And if they don't miss you and your building burns down, that means that you haven't done anything.
Right.
Definitely. I'm with it.
That's
Like we
real.
said last time, if all hearts and minds clear. Pastor Beavers, man, we appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Man, thank you.
Definitely, man.
I'm
we
honored,
definitely
man.
appreciate it, man. This big for us. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad you came, and hopefully everybody that's watching and that's gonna watch this able
They
to
can
take
learn
something
something
from
from
it,
this, yes.
learn something from it. You know, and to just show that we too
Yeah.
have a wide range of things
Yeah.
that we can give game on. You know what I'm saying? It always got to be relationship game or club game,
Toxic.
game. You know what I'm saying? We give
I
some
watch
real
y'all
game
and I
too.
learn from y'all.
Yeah, we
know,
give some
so-
real game too.
I think it's good. Y'all keep doing what y'all doing. I'm rooting for y'all.
Definitely.
I'm praying for y'all. Thank you for opening me up to an audience that normally I would not have access to. You don't know how valuable that is
Definitely.
to me and to what God has called me to do. And I'm inviting y'all personally and to everybody who watches this show. Sunday, 10 a.m. in Birmingham, 10 a.m. in Pale City, 6 p.m. in Sylacauga. Beat me to the star.
That's it.
Love it.
That's it.
Beat me
Thank
to the
you.
star.
Y'all already know what it is, man. King Carl Catering, man, live in the building. We got King Carl in the building. What's good, bro?
Okay.
I appreciate it.
All right, we got them pineapple bowls.
Okay.
You go to, boy.
For sure.
Sausage all the day, baby.
For sure.
All the day. King Kyle Cater. Let me know what you